Why does God so often choose the least likely person to lead? Because he delights in confounding human expectations and shattering the pride of those who trust in appearances. And if you've ever felt overlooked, underestimated, or dismissed, then you are exactly the kind of vessel God is secretly preparing. Think of Moses, a man who stuttered and begged God to send someone else. Yet God placed him before Pharaoh to deliver an entire nation. Think of David, a shepherd boy ignored by his own father when Samuel came to anoint a king. Yet God whispered that man looks at the outward appearance, but he looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. The shocking truth is that God does not seek the qualified, he qualifies the called. And your weakness is not a liability, but the hidden evidence that his strength is about to be revealed through you. You may not carry the charisma the world craves. You may not hold the degrees or titles that religious circles esteem, but in that very lack, God positions his power so no flesh can boast. As Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 1:27, that God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise, and the weak things to shame the strong. The reason he does this is because pride is the enemy of true leadership. And if you were elevated by your own abilities, you would be tempted to take the glory. But when you know that your story was impossible without him, every step you take becomes a testimony. Notice how God often hides his leaders in obscurity before he reveals them publicly. Joseph was thrown into a pit, sold as a slave, imprisoned unjustly, and only then did he step into his role as governor of Egypt. His brothers thought they had destroyed him, but God was secretly positioning him to save them all. You may feel buried right now, silenced, forgotten, but in God's economy, being hidden is not punishment, it is preparation. And when the appointed time comes, your unveiling will be undeniable. The least likely are chosen because they carry humility forged in struggle, compassion birthed in rejection, and faith purified by fire. And these qualities are the foundation of leadership that reflects Christ rather than ego. Jesus himself was born in a manger, raised in a small town so insignificant that people scoffed. Can anything good come out of Nazareth? John 1:46. Yet he turned the world upside down with 12 ordinary men who were fishermen, tax collectors, and zealots, not scholars or princes, showing us that God's pattern has never changed. If you feel unworthy, that is the very sign that you are being called, because worthiness was never the requirement, availability was. The enemy will whisper that you are disqualified, that your past sins, your failures, your family background, or your lack of eloquence will forever keep you small. But that is a lie designed to keep you from stepping into the destiny God already wrote for you. Remember Gideon, hiding in fear, calling himself the least in his family and his tribe, the weakest in Israel, yet God called him a mighty warrior and used him to deliver the nation with only 300 men, stripping away all human security, so the victory would shout of divine power. God chooses the least likely because they depend on him fully, because their identity is no longer tied to what others think, but to who he says they are. And when that shift happens, the devil loses his grip. Romans 8:28 declares that all things work together for good to those who love God, and this includes the things that seemed like setbacks, the betrayals, the closed doors, the seasons of insignificance. Every hidden detail becomes part of the preparation for leadership. The shocking reality is that God often uses your scars as your credentials, because a leader who has never been broken cannot truly lead the broken, and a shepherd who has never wept cannot truly guide with compassion. You may think you are disqualified by your mistakes, but God will use the very thing you're ashamed of as the platform for his glory. And this is why he chooses the least likely, because they are not blinded by their own greatness, but awakened by his mercy. Do not despise your small beginnings, for Zechariah 4:10 warns against it, because the small is where God proves himself faithful and where character is forged. If you are in a season where you feel unseen, rejoice, because unseen is where God shapes leaders without the pressure of applause, and unseen is where roots grow deep enough to withstand the storms of influence. So when you wonder why God keeps passing over the obvious choices and turns his gaze toward the forgotten, the answer is simple. He wants the world to know it was him, not you. He wants testimonies that silence human boasting and magnify divine grace, and he wants leaders who reflect the heart of Christ more than the image of success. The next time you feel unqualified, remember, that is the precise reason God is looking at you, and when the moment of calling arrives, the very people who dismissed you will be shocked at how powerfully God uses you. Therefore, stop hiding behind excuses, stop rehearsing your inadequacy, and dare to believe that you, the least likely, have been chosen for something greater than you imagined, because God delights in turning the overlooked into overcomers and the rejected into rulers. And if you surrender fully, you will discover that leadership in his kingdom is not about who you are, but about who he is in you.